Hey YouTube, Audio Olympian here, back with another video coming to you from the Coliseum. Okay, today's battleground video, we're going to be comparing a little bit the Goldenear BRX sound to the Goldenear Triton One.r sound. So it's not necessarily a comparison video. My interest was, can we achieve the reference sound with the BRX bookshelf speaker? So we're going to get into that video here in a minute. If this is your first time visiting our channel, we want to welcome you. Thanks for stopping by. We'd appreciate if you could hit that like button if you find this video informative or even just a little entertaining. Don't forget the super thanks if you guys feel led to give any type of donation to the channel. And also don't forget to leave some comments down below. It does really help with the algorithm to help get our channel a little bit more exposure on the internet. Okay, so the reason I decided to do this video here was because over the years I've gotten quite a few questions from some viewers and some subscribers. They want to know, how does the BRX reference bookshelf speaker sound compared to, let's say, the Triton One.r's or even the Triton reference? How close does it get to reference sound? So I thought, it's time to do an experiment here. So let's get into that video here. Okay, so for this comparison of sound video, and again, it's not a total review of the speakers themselves. We're just going to be talking about the sound that they can produce. There are a few things that I want to cover here, some obvious differences. But for the sake of the comparison, I am going to have a combination of the BRX bookshelf speaker with the Supersub X powered subwoofer, the Goldenear Supersub X. Being that the Triton One.r's are powered and they do have a powered subwoofer section. So I thought, well, we're going to have to kind of match it up a little bit here and add in a combination of the Supersub X. Okay, another major difference here is the total number of drivers. For the pair of Triton One.r's, it's 12 drivers in there. For the pair of the BRX and the two active subwoofers in the Supersub X, that's only going to be a total of 6 drivers. So a very big difference in amount of drivers that's going to produce a difference of sound. Another difference is the price range categories, where the Triton One.r's are just under $7,500 and the BRX and Supersub X combo will be just under $3,100. And the last thing, I'm not using any measuring tools. This is a very pirate rogue style video. The only measuring that I'm going to use are my ears. So with that being said, keep in mind that the tonality and sound that you would get in your room is going to be different because no two rooms are the same. So the BRX are very revealing and neutral with great harmonics, tonality, speed, and depth. It's an amazing bookshelf speaker with a two-way design with the high velocity reference folded ribbon tweeter and the 6-inch mid bass driver. It has a really great finish with a good compact design, and it's a little over 12 inches in height, a little over 8 inches in width, and a little bit more than 12 inches in depth. But with the reference drivers in it, it definitely does perform above its weight class for its tiny compact size. Now the Triton One.r is extremely open and revealing with its MTM design of its reference ribbon tweeter and two 5.5-inch upper bass mid-range drivers. Now what the upper bass mid-range driver is going to do is that's going to specialize in the sounds probably around the 50 to 70 hertz range, which is that mid-bass area. Not a lot of speakers can do that. Not even a lot of subwoofers can produce really great tonality in that range there. So it also has 3 5x9-inch long throw reference subwoofer drivers with a 1600 watt Supersub amp. To answer the question, can the BRX combo with the Supersub X match the reference sound of the Triton One.r's? Let me say yes and no. It's close. Let me say this, it is very close, which is really cool because again, at just under $3,100, you're going to be able to get reference sound quality with the BRX combo and the Supersub X. Again, in that sub, if you don't really know too much about that, it has two active 8-inch drivers with the 1600 watt amplifier and two passive radiators. And it's got a unique patent design to it. That thing is a monster. I did a video on that a while back. I'll put the link down in the description if you want to get a little bit more information on that subwoofer. One thing I will note on it that I noticed in doing my comparison here is on the back of that subwoofer, it has the RCA inputs for LFE, and then for the right, if you want to connect it stereo. Now, I normally just plug it in LFE. One RCA cable coming from my my processor or my Parasound DAC to the Supersub X. However, I thought, well, let me change it around. I used a splitter and I connected the left and right RCA inputs on my subwoofer. And then it also has a switch if you're going to go from the LFE to the left and right. When I did that and I flicked the switch, I did notice that it dropped some octave. It was a little bit lower tone, a little bit lower bass. So if you have that sub, you might want to think about trying that, even if it's in your home theater setup. Instead of just connecting the LFE input, use a splitter to go left and right and then switch it. And I did notice a difference in the sound of the bass for the Goldenear Supersub X when I did that. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a perfect match of sound to the Triton One.r, I would say the BRX and Supersub X combo, it's close. I'd give it an 8.5, maybe 8.7. Very, very close. But the really cool thing that I noticed about it was it actually developed or produced its own reference sound, which took it to a whole nother level of category. And I thought, wow, that was really, really interesting. I was able to notice some things different when I compared that bookshelf speaker to a few of my other bookshelf speakers that are really not in the same category or class. Definitely a lot more bass when I have the combination there. But there was a little bit more revealingness, a little bit more detail, a little more energy, a little more strength, a little more pop that went into the BRX versus my other bookshelf speakers. Now, another difference between the two speakers was the height. Now, not only because the Triton One.r is a 4.5 foot tall speaker, but because of the MTM design is at the top, which is the mid-range, the tweeter mid-range, and it's kind of housed in its own little cabinet inside of the speaker. So it's like another speaker inside of the speaker there, right? Which I think does wonders for the sound it's going to produce there. However, the height of it gave it more range and more pitch. So it was like casting out farther. I didn't try picking my BRX up to the same height. I thought of doing that, but just didn't get time to get around to doing that. So if you have that, maybe do that. Maybe lift it up a little bit higher and see if that changes the pitch and the range that it's going to produce for you. So kudos to Goldenear for making such great designed reference level speaker. And I believe each one of these speakers will perform above its weight class and compete with speakers that are much higher in the price range. And technically, if it's a higher price range speaker, that means it's a higher quality speaker because it should have a lot more research and development and design put into that speaker along with higher quality components. And their reference line does compete above their weight class with speakers that are probably twice their price range for each one of those categories, the BRX, the One.r, and then the Triton reference. Okay, so let's get into it. We're gonna do a few audio clips here and some kind of instrumental and then some with music and lyrics and songs. These are going to be royalty-free music because I don't want to get any copyrights or have to worry about any of that. So we should be okay on any of these music. So they're not the greatest songs. I get that from a lot of people, like, hey, you should have better music or better songs, but it's challenging to always have to try to worry or deal with the copyright. So let's just have some fun, get into it, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit about the differences that I heard.
Love the way you groove. Whoa, 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 whoa. If I was a needle in a haystack, in some lonely field way out west, you would know just where to find me.
Okay, so just to cover a little bit of differences I heard, keep in mind it's going to be different for you, different based off of your ears and your room. No two rooms are alike. So that's going to be a very big game changer as far as the type of sound that you're going to receive, that the speakers are producing based off of your treatment, size, ceiling height, stuff like that. But for me here, I found that the top end here on the Triton ones were a little more smooth, a little more dynamic, a little more clean. The BRX, very, very smooth, great dynamics, just not as clean. And I believe the difference there is the MTM design in the Triton ones, and it basically has its own chamber inside of the speaker. Now the mid-range sound was pretty close, a little bit more punchier in the Triton One.r, again because it has two mid-range speakers versus the BRX that only has the one single mid-bass driver there. Now in the bass section, this is where it gets really interesting. The BRX combo with that and the Supersub X definitely had more bass than the Triton One.rs and their powered subwoofer section. I was actually quite shocked because that is 6 active subwoofers in the Triton One.rs versus the Supersub X. However, and they're 1600 watts each, so you can kind of think, okay, 3200 watts. However, the design and the build of the Supersub X, 2 active 8-inch drivers, the dimensions, subwoofers are unique, and that's why I really love them, because they do what they are supposed to do, and that's create that low-end sound there for either music or movies. And they create it in a way that a normal speaker doesn't do it. And I was quite shocked. So the BRX combo and the Supersub X, or the BRX and the Supersub X combination, bass-wise, was a lot more robust, a lot more beefier, had great depth, and it was deeper. The size of the cube, the box, right? It allowed the low frequencies to get a lot deeper sound than the tall, slender cabinet design of the Triton One.rs. So I would give it, probably in the bass section, I would give it to the BRX and the Supersub X combination. So if your budget is a little bit lower and space is a factor in your area where you really can't have big towers, but you want that reference quality sound, well then the BRX and the Supersub X combo is definitely a way to go. So that's about all I have for you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something here. Go ahead and leave some comments or questions down below, and I will answer them as soon as I can. We will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.